Greetings, magnificent souls, to the Attract Health, Build Wealth podcast, where we have open and honest discussions about ourselves. This is a place where we break down, break away, and break through our limiting patterns, allowing ourselves to attract health, build wealth, and live a peaceful life. We are tired of being sick and tired. We are tired, but we are not giving up. We know that there is something magnificent inside of us. And because we are fighting daily, hourly, and by the minute, fighting ourselves, our kids, our spouses, we have to do things differently. We have to break the cycle. We don't have a million chances. We have to be happy now. We have to find a way. So, how do we do that? How is that possible? If you look around at what society is telling you, they tell you that what we're doing is impossible. Yet it's happening every single day. And it's happening through the practice and the love that we call awakening the magnificent soul. We are all magnificent souls, and these are our stories of healing. Today, in episode 64, a little bit or a lot about willpower. But before we get into the podcast, don't forget to let me know your thoughts about this episode, any feedback you have, or anything you'd like me to cover on future podcasts at epiphanyvault.com. Remember, it is a safe place, and I would welcome the discussion. Today's episode is brought to you by Align into Authenticity Coaching, which is open right now for enrollment until June 23rd or until available spots are full. If you're open to not being hurt in relationships, being more in the moment, to understand more about your body emotionally, like why your autoimmune reactions may be popping up, you can set up a complimentary call to see if this type of work is for you at attracthealthbuildwealth.com/coaching. You can apply there and there's more info on that webpage. Now on to the show. So warning, I am going to step onto my soapbox for a minute to talk about willpower. So I feel totally vastly underserved when I am marketed to about willpower. I do see the value in slogans like just do it and mindset gurus talking about change your thoughts, change your life. And if I'm completely honest, I pushed through this. And I have done a lot, and I accomplished a lot in the first 3 decades of my life. My life kind of seemed to be in an upward trajectory of doing, of achieving, of looking a certain way, of having a boyfriend, all of it. And if I'm, again, completely honest, I got there by pure willpower. I used willpower when I lost weight. I used willpower when I beat out thousands of people for one job in New York City. I used willpower to bust through fear and travel the globe. I used willpower to get all of the attention and admiration I craved. I kind of feel like I came out of the womb with my dukes up, looking for competition. So please don't get me wrong. I see the value in willpower, but I also see the dark side of willpower. And the dark side, what I've learned was denying myself. The dark side was using willpower to pursue things, people, adoration, and love because I was empty, not because I was whole. The dark side was the insidious way I would gaslight myself in this pursuit of never ending perfection. And when willpower doesn't work anymore, it hits you like a ton of bricks, stops you in your tracks, and it has you reevaluating what the hell you've been doing. And this was true for me. I don't know if it's true for you, but willpower is not sustainable if it's for anything or anyone other than your true calling, your divine essence, your purpose, or your dharma. And that's the biggest life lesson I've learned in the last 5 years. Some people that want to help you will just tell you to keep going. Don't stop. Block it off on your calendar. Don't cave into the cravings, just block him, or whatever that they're saying to you right now. And you try. You freaking try. And you try so hard and you do it for a little bit, but you always seem to come back to that behavior that's keeping you stuck. I don't believe willpower is something that we either have or we don't have. I believe in us, there's a hierarchy of power. This is what I've learned: soul power, heart power, and then I think that willpower comes. And modern day marketing has us all messed up. They want women to be men and just push through, but maybe, just maybe, we want to be led by our souls. And maybe, just maybe, we want to be led by our hearts. And maybe, just maybe, that will be enough so that our willpower follows. One of my teachers calls this the existential crisis, when you hit that you can't do it anymore. And then adult word coming. So earmuffs if any children are listening. But he calls it the oh fuck point or the divine storm. And when the engine stops on this, it won't start again. And then you don't know what to do. Can I tell you something? The moment that I realized that it wasn't willpower that I needed, but just a loving attitude of curiosity of why I was the way that I was, my outlook changed. In one of my early podcast days, if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, I had an episode called Why New Year's Resolutions Are Bunk. And I think I get it more now that if the come from, the goal, the result that we want is anything outside of our higher self, our hearts, our souls, no amount of willpower will be sustainable. The laws of energy do not work like that. So the question comes, what can we do if it's not willpower that can get us what we want? So indulge me for a minute and think about the one thing that you want in your life right now, the romantic partner of your dreams, the busting at the seams bank account, the healthier body, the self love that you crave. And then pass it through what I call the come from filter. Where is that want coming from? If it's coming from you, from your internal you, from your aligned you, then I do believe that you're on the right track. But anything or anyone or anything outside of you, my encouragement is to stop there and reevaluate. You might have tried this before, and I'll be honest, I didn't get it the first, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth try sometimes, but I kept failing. And there's something deeper at work, or there was for me, and it may be time to ask for help, or at least to spend some time reevaluating this for you. So I'll say this a different way. If it's passed through the come from filter and you still feel stuck, there are limiting patterns at work there and some emotional blocks that need clearing. Pushing through at this point will not help. It will only make it worse. Maybe you feel me on that. So here's an example that I've heard before, and it's a little bit extreme, but I think it's very common. But it's to prove a point. So let's say that your want right now is to have a romantic, loving relationship. And if you pass it through the come from filter, your come from is that you just want to have a love like you've never had, which is great. That's awesome. But is this working? Are you making the right decisions for you? Do you feel aligned when you're courting or when you're dating? And if you're honest with yourself, is there something off? Is there something deeper? Do you see or you feel any limiting patterns at work? If you're like me, this is a yes. But I also want to note that we are either very, very good at bullshitting ourselves and or we are very, very, very good at being victims. Whatever it is, either of those is a coping mechanism for deeper issues. So going back to the example, if you pass your deepest want through the come from filter again, what do you get? So this is a hard look at yourself. It's not easy. But if your come from is something to the effect of, I want to get blank because I've never received that in my life, for me, joy, love, acceptance, being seen, being heard, being understood, if that's the same for you, I would just want to lovingly say that no one can give that to you. No one and nothing can fill that tank or fill that gap. There's a hole in the bucket if you're asking for other things and other people to give that to you. And if you're stuck there, I want to say that this is something that I think people miss a lot. There's nothing wrong with you. There is just a limiting pattern there that needs healing. If you want whatever it is really badly, and this is speaking from my experience, bringing some support in your life to help you heal that, like therapy, coaching, outside support to kind of bring you back into yourself so that whatever it is that you're really wanting, it may reevaluate. But what it is bringing you back in so that you can project and receive all of the good stuff out there and not asking for these things, these people to fill you up, but being full on your own. And I just want to say that the negative thinking about willpower can be pretty intense. I've had a lot of negative thinking run through me in the past, and I know, trust me, it's not that you don't have willpower because you do. I think it's just that it's misaligned. I would urge you to think about leading with your soul power or your heart power first and see what happens. That's the show for today. In big love.